People without a middle name. How did you know when your parents were angry with you? Le chancla. The yelling was enough, no middle names needed. Stupid and idiot work just fine. It's all in the tone of voice. There's a distinct tonal difference between Sarah and Sarah. Quote: when my dad reached for a Hot Wheels track. When my mom went out on the balcony to pick the thinnest vine branch. They'd say, "Come here, I've got a bone to pick with you." Mother would just lock my bedroom door for 12-ish hours with one 250 milliliters bottle of water and a bag of crisps when Dad was working. You know, people with middle names may also have this same realization. Why the fuck is my middle name? Sucks to be you, Dad. I was called by my first name and not nickname. Man, did this question make me laugh. I know it when my parents would yell my first and last name. When my mom becomes silent, it's the scariest thing. Well, first Dad would get the jumper cables. When either the belt comes off or the wooden spoon comes out. My parents called me by my nickname of the short version of my name, so when the full name was said it counted as with middle name. I gave my puppy a middle name, so I'd have a way of letting her know she messed up. Loud screaming of my name. Somebody call the jumper cable guy, this is really his area of expertise. I go by the nickname of my middle name. If I heard my first name, then I knew there was a problem. When it was time to duck, they make one up. 2 if I did something terrible. Rogue Andrew antics. Oh crap. Rogue Andrew Hamilton antics. Oh sweet holy, what did I do to deserve death? Tone and inflection. I have a middle name, VUT. My parents never use it. They would scream and hit me if they even got slightly angry. That was how I knew. When my mom starts counting 1, 2.3, usually by 3 I'm doing what she told me to do. They just yelled my first name. If all your siblings were named before you, then you were in for it. Simon, Theodore, Alvin. The silent look equals death. ITT, abuse. I have a middle name but they never use it. I knew they were mad when they asked my siblings to get a spoon. I have a middle name, but when they said my full first name instead of my nickname, I would hear my dad sucking his teeth at me. After taking too long looking for the tool he asked me for. When I caught some hands, or if they gave me the silent treatment. Mine just added letters, think Catherine to Katharina. It's not my name, unless I'm in trouble. When I got slapped. The look. The yelling was usually a big hint. My sister didn't have a middle name, but when my mom was mad at her, she would give my sister my middle name. I'm Bosnian and born in the 80s. A slap was a good indicator that something I did was frowned upon. Haha. I never knew until I heard a belt cracking. My father has a hyphenated last name and I also have my mother's maiden name, so once all three last names get called I am in trouble. My parents would never say my middle name unless it was an emergency or they were mad. And if they said it more than once, the harder it would be to get out of a punishment. When my dad would sucker punch me without saying anything, at least I assume he was angry with me. The throbbing vein in the forehead. My parents would just yell out my first name, and I knew I was fucked. My name is Lawrence and she just made it longer and said Laurentius whenever she got R-E-A-A-A-A-A-L-L-Y. Mad. I always knew when my old man was angry, I would get a smack in the head. Usually by their tone of voice, body language, and facial expressions. If you have two last names that aren't hyphenated, then isn't the first last name your middle name? What the fuck have you done now? Was usually a good indicator. Rather than calling by my nickname, they would call my name. Also all the fucking yelling. NMN here. Also 43M here. Also former Special Operations soldier with combat experience here. My mom just says, "Hey Tootie, don't do that." Single quote. They said my full first name instead of my nickname, and tone of voice changed. They were always mad at me. Asked my wife and she would just whack you. There were no words, just actions. They were so poor they couldn't afford middle names, by the way. Excellent question. I never thought about it before. My mom would give me that look while saying my first name. The yelling tips it off. It'd get hit with the flip-flop. Well, I have a nickname and if I was in trouble I'd just get called by my full first name, lol. Instead of a middle name I have two first names, so they just say my full name. From the tone of them saying my name, it's all I needed to know I was gonna get in shit. With the chancla. This isn't exactly answering the question, but my mother has called me by my middle name my entire life. No one else does. So when she barks my first name at me, I jump fearful. When they ran my siblings' names with the child in trouble named last, Steve Lisa too many in litter. Oh crap. It was my time to be in trouble. I wanted to make sure my kids knew when I meant business, they have two middle names. I misunderstood it and thought they weren't given the middle name because their parents were somehow angry with him at birth. The Chancellor started flying. I knew when my mom threw the shoe at me. I'm Asian but live in an English-speaking country. My parents will call me by my Chinese name instead of my English one. I got bashed. The chopsticks or belt. Wooden spoon. A guy the first knew said that he knew how mad his mom was from the number of middle names Jesus had. When our dog is being bad, my wife calls his full name using my middle name and I use her middle name. The shoe sailing off my mom's foot and at my head, but she wore rubber thongs, so not too bad. When they whacked me, Principal Skinner didn't need a first or middle name for him to know people were mad at him. I just assumed their parents yelled their full social security number at them. She didn't need to talk. The look was all that was needed. This is funny. At first when I read this, I thought people's parents were mad at him if they didn't give them a middle name. Listen, Arian, you need to leave this house right now. They curse at me in their language. Actually, just the tone of their voices. Ronald Weasley. Asian here. It doesn't matter what your middle name is. You know they're angry once you see the slipper flying. However, most of the time you won't see it flying. At first I was confused, then it hit me, I mean literally hit me. My mom threw her shoe at me. Penday Joe, Cabron, or just get hit with the belt by mom. Either way. Or she'd call all my siblings' names until she got it right. Then hit us. A slipper would come flying and then my name would be yelled. My parents actually say my first name instead of a pet name. That's their secret. They're always angry. They'd slap me into a different dimension. I knew it was getting serious when I was called with my pre- and surname, not just with the pre-name. The TV cable was out. My wife's middle name is just the letter K. Her parents couldn't decide between Caitlin or Kentucky, where she was conceived. She fucking hates it. I love it. I think it's hilarious. Just take my upvote medley Korok Billy Bob Joe Flanagan. I don't have a middle name, but it is Compuesto, so it's two names in one. Jar Jar. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe for more content.